But basically, I think the summary of what he's saying is those who live in glass houses don't throw stones, because you don't know who that stone gonna are a landlord today, and tomorrow you are a tenant. Now, I'm not praying that that should be your situation, but look, let's have some conscience when we do certain things, okay? If not for today, for the sake of tomorrow. I mean, there's growing concerns, coming from the challenges faced by tenants and the landlords. I mean, the rising cost or rising rent cost in Nigeria, it has become a major concern. Tenants and landlords have indeed come at loggerheads at some point in time, with self-contained rooms costing up to 1 million naira, and one-bedroom apartments ranging from 1.5 million naira to 2.5 million naira. Now, if you were living in a self-contained, room before, right, or you were living in a one-bedroom, flat before, apartment before, you might as well want to let us know how much it was before and how much it was increased to. I mean, for some of you like me, right, we needed to move from where we were before because of the almost incredulous, I'm trying to look for the word, I mean, the height of exorbitance that was added to it. It was the type that would drop your jaws like, and then your eyes will pop out like that, and you think it's a Cartoon Network you are watching, because if you look around, or when you look around, you become the cartoon. And because you don't want to be the laughing stock and all of that, or you don't want to have a bickering or a frontal with confrontation with your landlord, you just take the responsible way and move out, because there's always that talk about if you're not comfortable with it, please, you can leave the property. And then it makes you also wonder that how much effort you've put into the property in itself, because in terms of renovation, when you first got into the place, the way it looks now is not how it looked then. You had a lot of input to it, because after all, even though it's not your house personally, you didn't build it personally, but you tried to make that house your home. So you put some comfortability into it, some effort, some resources being spent, and just after 1 year or 2 years, the landlord jacks it up to a rate that you're like, are you serious? Or is this also something that the government had told y'all to do? Because we just had a conversation about the planned electricity tariff hike. Day before yesterday was about the telcos, tariff hike to 50%. Now is it that everybody's now placing their own, or they're becoming their own government and placing, their own tariff? Because I'm not understanding it anymore. I don't know if you are understanding it. So you might as well want to give me the comparative, analysis of how much it was that you were paying before now. I mean, and how much it is now for a self-contained apartment, or a one-bedroom flat apartment, or whatever it may be, maybe two-bedroom flats, and all of it. Maybe we need to talk about these things. But then again, this is not to exonerate, the tenants, because the tenants also have their own faults, in this, in this discourse. But then the surge in rent prices is attributed to rising inflation, increase in building materials, and lack of regulation in the real estate sector. There are some concerns, though. A critical examination of a social construct of affordable housing. The social construct of affordable housing be redefined to ensure that low-income families and individuals have access to decent housing. It was one thing to say, well, we're going to move out from where we are to yet another place, but then it's another thing when you look at the conditions, to be met, to get these places. You also look at the conditions or the environments, where this particular building is. You look at the engineering of this, building. Some buildings have been there for quite too long, and nobody's even talking about them. I mean, some 10, 20, 30 years, and there hasn't been any visible, renovations, on these buildings, and yet the prices that attach to these these buildings are the type that will, they're like neck-cutting prices, right? But then when you look at that, you also think about the family. You're going to be there with your family. It's not just going to be you. You want to think about the safety. You want to think about the road accessibility. You want to think about the neighborhoodness, the neighborhood, of that, environment and everything. Quite a number of factors, are involved in that. And there's a place of, call for transparency and fairness. I mean, affordability, transparency, and fairness of the real estate sector. What social mechanisms can be put in place, to regulate the real estate sector and hold landlords and agents accountable for their actions. I don't even know, what to say or how to say this, but then I'll try my best. Have you ever tried to get a house lately? I don't know. Like you moved out from where you are and you're just moving into some other place. Have you tried to do that? What has been the hassle? There's always this middleman. They call themselves the agents. And if you ask me, as much as they're very useful, yes, in connecting you to the types of houses that you want, or the kind of houses that you want and everything. In fact, some even do a very terrible job. They show you a house, but then the house is not what it is the moment you get there. The environment is not what it is when you get there. And it goes against all the promises that they've made, to you over the phone and all of that. And to think of the fact that you're paying a 10,000 naira, what do they call it now, inspection fee, is crazy. I mean, some people that's their livelihood. That's just how they live by, through the agency, medium. Now, nobody's faulting it, saying, oh, it's bad. I mean, for everybody that puts in work and labor, right, should get paid, should get, remuneration. But then when you now think beyond and above, and it comes to the place of exploitation. Now, what do you call that? Corruption. Who's putting that corruption in place? The government? No, my brothers and sisters, it is not the government. It is you and I. You and I are the ones, who are institutionalizing a bad tradition. And there is a saying that says if a bad tradition is changed into a better one, that the gods will endorse it. But there are different perspectives, to and experiences, a collection of insights from tenants and landlords and experts. And now tenants experiences, struggles. We're looking at a personal, emotional account of challenges faced by tenants. Tenants are sharing, their experiences of struggling to afford the high rents and being taken advantage of by landlords and agents. From the landlord's perspective now, landlords are blaming the government and the economy for the high cost of building materials and maintenance. Now, experts are calling for regulation and professionalism in the real estate sector to address the issue. Now, which one of these do you think, should be prioritized, should be looked into to addressing the issue of this real estate issue, and especially when we're looking at the exorbitant rate of getting a house these days? I mean, it's something that should be talked about. But then if you also consider the dynamic and the evolving discussion on the rising rent cost in Nigeria, there's a web discourse on the rising rent cost in Nigeria, and it's quite complex. It is multifaceted. Different stakeholders are sharing their thoughts and experiences and opinions on the matter. I mean, online conversation has taken place on various platforms, including social media, online forums, even the blogs, are talking the same thing. Let's look at what the social media is saying. On social media platforms now, such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, Nigerians are sharing their personal experiences and frustrations with a high rent cost. Many are using hashtags such as hashtag rent in Nigeria, or hashtag affordable housing, or hashtag Nigeria real estate to raise awareness about the issue and connect with others who are facing similar challenges. Now, online forums, such as Nairaland, the Reddit, are also hosting discussions on the topic. Users are sharing their experiences, and they're asking for advice and offering suggestions on how to navigate, the challenging rental market. If you also go on blogs now, blogs and online publications are also publishing articles and opinions. pieces on the topic. For example, an article with the Guardian Nigeria website reads, "The rising cost of rent in Nigeria is a ticking time bomb." Yes, that's what the Guardian newspaper now. With the economy in shambles, the cost of living increasing, many Nigerians are struggling to afford decent housing. Isn't it time for the government to take action and address the issue? Some question right there. But is it just about is it just on the onus of the government alone? What about the landlords, the stakeholders involved, the tenants and the landlords? Respectively, don't they also have a role to play in this? But then experts in the real estate sector are also sharing their opinion and their insights on the web. For instance, a real estate consultant writes on his blog, it says the high rent costs in Nigeria are a result of a combination of factors, including the high demand for housing, the limited supply of affordable housing, the lack of regulation in the real estate sector, and that to address the issue, we all need to increase the supply of affordable housing and establish clear guidelines and regulations to protect, tenants. Well, I'll throw it out to you right now because at this point in time, there are three angles to it, perspectives, if you like. The first will be the tenants' experiences and struggles. Personal and emotional accounts of tenants and challenges faced by tenants. And, of course, the place of landlords' perspective and challenges, with their balance in the view of the issue facing the landlords themselves and blaming the government and the economy for the high cost of building materials and maintenance. And, of course, experts' opinion, giving recommendations, analyzing the issue for potential solutions, calling for regulation and professionalism in the real estate sector to address the issue. What has been your experience right there? And who do you think, should really have the bulk of this blame? Understood, or understandably so, we have the economy playing a role. But then again, do we have the human factor in this? 0907 353 0044 is the number to call. Let's banter. The other number would be 0908 766 8888, and the WhatsApp portal number would be 0909 705 4450. How much were you paying for a one-bedroom self-contained before? And maybe you're moving out now, and how much are you paying at the place that you've been to? And how much, has been the increment? Were you able to afford it? Or were you just being like, I can't afford the increment, so I had to move to a smaller place? And whatever, the apartment that you are in, you might as well want to tell us, what your challenges had been in the course of living there. And let's be honest, because it's a banter, right? Let's just really be honest. If you also played a role that didn't commit, that had an inimical feel or contribution to the entire discourse, or situation, as it were, you might as well just be honest and talk about it. It could be that some tenants can be very impossible. That's the truth. Well, I'll dive into all of that. I gave you the numbers already. You can start sending in your thoughts in that regard, right? Who should the onus be resting on? Is it really a government conversation, this high cost of rent, in Abuja especially, or in Nigeria? Or should it be really about, you and I, who are the landlords, yes, the owners of the homes and all of that? Where does it really lie, and where does it really stop? This entire issue that we are having a discourse on this morning. Once again, the number is 0907 353 0044. The other number is 0908 766 8888. And the WhatsApp portal number again would be 0909 705 4450. It's the general open banter. Let me just go out for a bit, catch my breath. We'll be right back.
102.3 Abuja.
Has anyone told you you can talk about your business on radio for just
20,000 naira?
Get a chance to talk your business for 25 minutes on The Entrepreneur. Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. For more inquiries, call 090-9984-4433. 090-9984-4433. Hurry now.
Playing the best music from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. This is 102.
And welcome to Uber Pinnacle City Lugbe, where dreams take flight. I am here with Mr. Franklin, a representative from Uber Properties. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Alright, Mr. Franklin, let's dive right in. What makes Uber Pinnacle City Lugbe so special?
Uber Pinnacle City Lugbe is a luxurious estate located in the heart of Abuja, offering a range of infrastructure amenities that cater for the needs of our residents. From 24/7 power supply and security surveillance to shopping centers and parks, we have got everything you need to live your best life.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Can you tell us about the types of properties available?
We have a range of options to suit different needs and budgets. Our 5-bedroom fully detached duplexes with boys' quarter and swimming pool are perfect for large families or those who want to live in style. We also have 4-bedroom semi-detached duplexes and 3-bedroom terrace duplexes available.
I must say you have a lot of options. But now, what about pricing? How affordable are these properties?
We are offering very competitive pricing for our properties. For example, 600 square meter of our 5-bedroom fully detached duplex starts at 3.5 million naira. 500 square meter of our 4-bedroom semi-detached duplex is going for 3 million naira. While the 250 square meter of our 3-bedroom terrace duplexes is going for 2.5 million naira.
Wow, that's very affordable. What about financing options? Do you have any special promos or discounts available?
We are currently running a super promo that offers discounts on our properties. We also have financing options available through our partners to make it easier for our customers to own their dream homes.
Oh, that's nice. I understand that you are operating with the approval of the Federal Capital Development Authority, FCDA. Can you please tell us more about that?
Yes, that's correct. We are proud to say that Uber Pinnacle City Lugbe is being developed with the full approval of the FCDA. This ensures that our estate is being built to the highest standards and that our customers can have complete peace of mind when investing in their dream homes.
That's great to hear. Peace of mind is really everything. How can our listeners get more information about Uber Pinnacle City Lugbe and take advantage of this super promo?
They can visit our website at www.uberpropertieslimited.com or send us an email at info@uberpropertieslimited.com. They can also call us on 081-6475-5708 or 091-2666-8563. Let me just take the number again. 081-6475-5708 or 091-2666-8563. Our office address is at Suite 18C and D, Anon Plaza, Gudu, Abuja. We are also available on all social media handles.
Thank you for sharing this amazing opportunity with us, Mr. Franklin.
Thank you once again for having me.
Don't forget, when one door closes, buy another one and open it yourself. Uber Pinnacle City Lugbe is where dreams take flight. Contact them today to make your dream of owning a luxurious home a reality.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
But yes, back from that little break right there. And just to let you in on the fact that this is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, we give you an audiovisual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. And yes, it's still part of the Eagles Morning Rises Breakfast Show. And this is the General Open Banter. We're looking at the rise in rent costs in Nigeria, which has formed a growing concern for tenants and landlords. And residents of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) have decried the astronomical rise of house rent in the territory, and that this has really left many families with difficult choices for shelter. There's also been checks by some of our correspondents right there, showing rents in the FCT have now reached an all-time high, with a self-contained room costing as high as 1 million naira, while a one-bedroom apartment is now given out at 1.5 million naira to 2 million naira, and it's depending on the location though. In the city center. Well, the situation is also not unconnected to the rise in inflation in the country, understandably so, as well as the rising cost of building materials, and that it has forced many landlords to increase their rents arbitrarily. But then it has subsequently led many households, to relocate into the set in the FCT where the rents are lower and slightly affordable. But then, does this also go back to the place of a very widely heard statement? Abuja is not for everybody. Does this go back to it? Because it also means that quite a number of persons will have to relocate or get back to their home state. And what does that say about the capital of the country in itself? But then, if you also put that aside and you begin to look at efforts by the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, to taking out, is it beggars now off the street, and also demobilizing shanties in and around the FCT, would you say that this fight would indeed not become a fight that will be lasting in the sense that if more people are being thrown out and cannot afford the housing in Abuja or in Nigeria at large, does that not mean that we might be having some more shanties, being built covertly, on a low key? But then, what issues does this portend for us as a people and as a country? Just recently, right, we have seen where the housing minister has made a call to action, stating a commitment to addressing the issue of housing. The housing minister and Minister of Housing and Urban Development, in the person of Ahmed Dangiwa, had said Nigeria's housing deficit estimated at over 28 million units, and that it presents not just a challenge, but a significant opportunity for transformative change. He was also speaking at the 4th edition of the Real Estate Future Forum in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, Dangiwa had outlined the Nigeria government's plans to address the shortfall through the public-private partnerships, and that there's robust, strategic initiatives also being put in place. And one of the things that he urged the international investors to consider Nigeria's growing housing sector as an avenue for profitable collaboration, emphasizing that Nigeria's rapidly growing population and the enormous demand for affordable housing presents a fertile, ground for investment in the sector. But then, even if we have said all of this, does this mean that we have to declare a state of emergency on housing? Well, in the real estate sector, is that what's going to bring some sort of solution to this high rents in Abuja in Nigeria? I don't know what your thoughts may be, but then I really like to hear from you, because I for one, I found myself, in that situation. Late last year, it wasn't a very funny, situation where the rent was jacked up to, 4 times what it was. And it made me wonder, could this have been the government, or could this just be, the greed of the landlord? Exactly. What reason is it for the rents to be jacked up? And one reason he gave was, go and check her out. There is nobody collecting what I am collecting as rent. Now we're talking rent that is going to 700, and then you're tripling it, and I asked him, I said, have I handled your home wrongly? He said, no, Mr. Dan, it's not about you handling the home wrongly. Things have skyrocketed in the market, but then most of the fixing and comfortability has been fixed by me. Right? So what maintenance are you running on the house? But I didn't want to argue, because it's in such cases you've got to be the bigger person, got to be a gentleman. And I said, well, I wouldn't be able to continue this, and that's how I moved out, from that place. And then it gets on to the place of the blame game that we always put out, the blames, the excuses that we make on a daily basis. You're a landlord, you're listening to me right now, right? The excuses that you make many times is not at par with what the reality is. It's in fact 10 times the reality, and you meet it out to your tenants. And that doesn't really add up, right? It just proves sheer greed. In fact, if you ask me, I'd say that's corruption, right? And then they should be penalized. But then there is a place of monitoring, regulations, that should also be put in that place to ensuring that, these kinds of skyrocketing, hijacking, jacking up of the price of rent and all of that, is also stabilized. It's not abused, so to speak. But then tenants do, have an attitude of not taking care of maintaining, the apartments that you live in. And that is really strange, because we go out there, we preach, talk about cleanliness being next to godliness, even though it's not in the good books. But then we talk about how it is good to maintain, other people's property, especially when it's a property that you are in use of, and bringing it to the place where you get the value from that property, and then you have a peace of mind on the inside of you. And you see tenants who destroy and vandalize a property, and when you ask them, they be like, it's not my house. After all, I'm going to move out of this place. When I first met it, it was not in good shape. And then it makes you also try to understand the psychology of such a person. But the numbers are still out there. Let's take this call. Hello and good morning. Hello. Okay, that's a miss. Talk about the 50% tariff hike now. Well, there's a committee already sitting, and with hopes that they will reach a very well conclusion, and it's not going to hit the brick. But then the number is still out there. What are your thoughts about the high rent in Nigeria, especially looking into Abuja right there? 0907-353-0044. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, Eugene.
Yes, good morning to you, please.
My name is Honorable Edwards.
Honorable Edwards, where are you calling from?
From Apo.
Apo, okay. Honorable Edwards, what do you think?
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I love this particular discussion.
Right.
Because I've been trying to see where I can contribute my own. Answer to this. You see, the same house, price is not the same. Apple.
Okay.
Our major problem, let me just hit straight. Our major problem that these people call agents. We are the country, we are the problem to ourselves.
Agents, right?
Yes.
Like the middleman.
Yes.
Okay.
Where I live in Apo, let me just tell you, you didn't even know the prices. What you are money is. A rooster content is already above 2 billion.
In Apple?
In Apo the settlement.
Wow.
A 1-bedroom flat, it depends on the, they call it POP, new house, and all those things. House, not the house.
Mm-hmm.
This agent, and let me tell you something, this agent charging 20% legal, they call legal fees and agency fees. If you are a lawyer, I'm sure you're a lawyer, or if you know anything about law, a tenant who is paying to the landlord is the lawyer preparing agreement for the tenant or it's for the landlord. Who is to pay a lawyer? The landlord. So why are they taking 20%? Okay, take it from 1-bedroom flat, 2.5 million naira. Calculate how much is total package, and they will take money from you, inspection fees. Honestly speaking, let me tell you, they will not even have any house. They will take that money from you and take it to a house that has been paid by another person, just to fulfill that they have gotten. They are taking it. So nowhere. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, someone paid for that house 2 hours back yesterday, and like this, I'm not aware. So the agents in this case are the number one. EFCC should go in. This is corruption. What is the percentage? We don't have just that. We don't have a budget that monitor. What does SOCD concern with this agency fees? And most of them, they may live in Masaka or Waru, where maybe it's 50,000 naira. When they come, they tell the landlord to increase. The more the landlord increase, the more agency increase. How are they charging people? Imagine one will say content 2 million, 1.8, 1.5. And some people like me particularly, let me tell you, I do my work most at night. So I'm not able to live far from the main town. That is why I can pay. I pay in. We are suffering under this wicked stuff. We are the problem. We are the problem to ourselves.
All right.
We're the problem to ourselves. I received a call outside that. I was so interested in your program. But someone coming from Lebo. He was listening to this program.
Yeah.
He said he understood my point, the point I made in the morning, and he had to look for my number. I don't know who gave. I insisted he should give me the person I gave him. I don't know where he got my number. But the only thing is that he said they are coming to you are ready, to defend this, for you to program them so that because it was a mistake on their side. So this radio is working.
All right.
This radio station is working. I appreciate this radio station.
Appreciate that.
I think they are listening to us.
All right.
The landlord should also consider. Thank you, and God bless you.
Right. So you see, this conversation is indeed very apt, and it is something that each and every one of us should indeed talk about. It's so sad that everybody seems to be quiet, seemingly, or so to speak, about this matter, and yet tomorrow we will come and become the whalers. And what does this really tell me? I mean, what it shows is that each and every one of us are guilty at one point or the other. It's just a fact. You don't have to tell me this. Like, I know that you are guilty. You are guilty. There's no way. There's no two ways about it. Because you're not talking about it. I mean, there's a WhatsApp portal. There is a Facebook page wall. There is a YouTube channel where you can get onto. So you don't have to say, oh, okay, I don't have Cold Card at this point. I mean, I cannot say that there's no medium to do that and all. Even a text message. And yet you're not talking, so it means you're guilty. Now, it means that you are not affected. It means you're one of those who is benefiting from that process, the illegality. But very quickly, though, let me also get into some of the thoughts that Honorable Edwards had shared. And yes, to those who are hoping to come and to refute, what we had, had a discourse about earlier. Please, the doors are open. Get on to Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, and we will find a way, to give you ears and host you on this very platform. Now, let's see some of the things that he mentioned. But just before we do so, I'll just take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, please.
Okay, my name is Comrade Williams.
Comrade Williams, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Katampe 1.
Katampe 1, all right, talk to us.
Yeah, I strongly myself with what the callers, your previous caller said, that all these things is our problem. Watching man do man. But you know one thing, the issue of legacy and the rest of them couldn't have been in there. It's not the way some tenants, not all of them, some tenants behave when they get into your property. They cannot do what they know that is right. Their own is what they know is that after they say, this is not my house, I can move out anytime. If I mess it up, I can move out. That is why the legacy come in, so that they will bring another person that can mediate from both of them, from somewhere, because some people will appreciate that instead of you or people living within to come and okay, come make or talk, I will take them, So that is it. But if you go to market to buy building materials, you will understand better. That electrical piping that I used to buy 150 naira. I went to go and pick some now. They said it's 600 naira for one.
To buy what?
Okay, 2,000. Yeah, one. I have 7 now with me.
Seven what? 7 what?
So 600. I have 7 pieces. I was supposed to buy. I can't afford the bundle, so I have to buy 7 pieces.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So before, when I was building the other my house, 2017, a block is 100 and something naira. Now 6 inches block is 450 naira. Then the zinc was it 20 something thousand or 12,000 naira. But now the zinc, one bundle of the particular one I used before, 75,000. So things are going up high, and people are not okay. Some people are not talking about how the things are going up in the market for blaming landlords. Now, electricity bill then was 2,000 naira. Electricity bill to my house land is 155,000 naira a month. And the salary of workers is 70,000 according to federal. I don't even talk about government. So when they're talking about what we are doing to us, we are all doing it to ourselves generally. So anytime Nigerians refuse to come out to channel their grievance to government who is not regulating anything, but waiting for us to go and go to after they're getting their own money from pockets. So we will contribute ourselves. It's so hard. It's so I don't know how to describe it. It's so terrible, but that's what we can do.
Comrade Williams, really, I get the point. Comrade Williams right there bearing his heart out and saying, look, what goes around comes around. What goes around comes around. He went from the place of the tenants, attitude, to buildings and all, and which of course has brought out the legal fees and all of that, because you don't have to want to sit back and trade words which will become violent, and before you know it, it gets into a police case, and nobody wants that. So the legal fees indeed covers for all of that. And then he comes from the place of the high costs of material. A block used to be 175 now, right? Or 25, and now how much is it? How much is a block now? How much is cement now? Yeah, how much? They have all skyrocketed. It says all of these factors, when you put it all together, it forces the landlord to also do the same, with the property and all of that. But he says, look, also the government angle too, is in the mix, is in the entire, discourse. But then bottom line, he says, each and every one, we are the ones doing this to ourselves. It's like what goes around is coming around. So we might as well just take it as it is. But, well, it's a very deep conversation. I'm glad for you, Kurt Williams, as well as Honorable Edward, for adding your voice in this discourse. I mean, time is not going to allow at this point in time. Sorry. I wonder why. Is this a wake up? Are we just waking up? Because I'm seeing the calls now coming. But no, we cannot go further because Abuja now is waiting, for us to delve into in a short bit. But thank you, Far Too Kind. I think that the most important thing, one of the things that we must consider, is to be humane. I think that's the word. Let's be humane. Let's be humans, right? Whether you're the middleman, you're an agent and all of that, please let's be humane and understanding, right? As it is not easy for you, as the way you're crying about and saying it's not easy, oh, I need to really get 15% agency fee, 10% and all of that. You should also consider that the people who are also working and trying to afford this housing, they are also in the same quagmire with you. If it was a ditch that you were inside, you never know. They may even be in a ditch. They are in a ditch with you. All right? So let's have some consideration. Keep it in mind as well that today, as commemorated by the United Nations, is International Day of Human Fraternity. Right? And it has the theme Human Fraternity for Peace and Cooperation. Yeah? Okay. So in Nigeria, the constitution of agency fees and legal fees is a matter of interpretation. Now, the Nigeria Constitution does not explicitly address the issue of agency fees and legal fees in tenancy agreements. There are relevant laws, though, and regulations. Now, there's the Tenancy Law of Lagos State, 2011. The law regulates the relationship between landlords and tenants in Lagos State and provides guidelines for the payment of agency fees and legal fees. Now, there's a Real Estate Agents Registration Law of 2007. Now, this law regulates the activities of real estate agents in Nigeria. It also provides guidelines for the payment of agency fees. Now, the Legal Practitioners Act is yet another angle to it. The Act regulates the practice of law in Nigeria and provides guidelines for the payment of legal fees, right? While the Nigerian Constitution does not explicitly address it, the issues of agency fees and legal fees, there are also constitutional provisions that may be relevant. I mean, Section 42 of the Constitution, this section provides that no citizen of Nigeria shall be subjected to any disability or restriction by reason of his or her community, ethnic group, place of origin, sex, religion, or political opinion. Section 44 of the Constitution is also saying this section providing that no person shall be subjected to any form of exploitation or oppression. All right? There's also been court's decisions, to addressing the issues of agency fees, legal fees. I mean, there is the case of Okoro versus Nwachukwu 2013, if y'all still remember, the case of Obunna versus Eze 2015, quite a number of issues. But in conclusion, though, while the constitutionality of agency fees and legal fee is a matter of interpretation, there are also relevant laws and regulations that govern the payment of these fees. So the courts also provide guidance on that issue, and it is quite essential for landlords and tenants, to be aware of their rights and obligations under the law, right? I can go further and further and further, but then again, it's also very necessary just put a peg, to the discourse this morning. Well, it's not been very exhaustive, but yes, thank you still for adding your voice in this one. We appreciate it. But yeah, this is how we call it a close. We look forward to having more conversations in this regard, because I know that we will talk about this not just today, but even in the coming days. Good morning once again.